Namaste to all of you. When you talk about a topic like self-development and fostering of excellence, there is a tendency for a lot of speakers to focus on the external aspects of your appearance. You talk about things like dressing etiquette, you talk about things like dining etiquette, you talk about how good you are when it comes to matters of English. But I would like to focus on some of the very important Indian perspectives of self-development, wherein the focus has always been on how we think, how we reflect, and most importantly, how things are put into practice. So in one simple word, it's all about the depth and fertility of your character that makes all the difference when it comes to matters of self-development. And I think this has been the greatest contribution that this great country called India has made to the firmament of thought of the world. Allow me to quote a few examples that would illustrate the points that I'm trying to communicate. You should all pardon me, my dear friends, that my Hindi is very bad. That's why I'm speaking in English, but I'll try my level best to pepper this particular presentation or speech with a little bit of Hindi so that my message is communicated to the fullest and the most comprehensive extent possible. What is the first quality of self-development? The most important quality of self-development is one very important, basic, fundamental question. And what is that question? The question is, what is the purpose of my life? We all talk about life as a very, very materialistic exercise wherein the focus is just on raw, unchecked ambition. We say we want to become this in life. Well, I'm in complete agreement with you when you say that ambition is very important. Having goals in life are very important. Having objectives in life are paramount. But my humble submission to this particular group would be, in as much as it's important, it is also important that you have a higher purpose in life. And what is a higher purpose? Higher purpose is, if your life becomes a source of value to many people, your life is made. The whole question is about, can you bring joy? Can you bring felicity? Can you bring happiness? Can you bring a sense of fulfillment in the life of a lot of people around you? And when I'm talking about people, I'm also conscious of the fact that it's equally important that as youngsters we focus on aspects of environment, the whole aspect of tree plantation, the whole aspect of afforestation, the whole aspect of protecting nature, protecting water bodies, conserving water. Equally important, the focus on animals as well. And Gujarat is one state which is very famous when it comes to matters of loving, caring for animals. The whole aspect of Go Seva, the whole aspect of looking after the innumerable number of things that God has given or bequeathed to the world. And I think it's very important as youngsters we focus on this aspect of purpose as well. I will give you one very small example to illustrate my point. In one of the Gurukulas of India, it seems a Shishya wanted to ask the Guru for the ultimate amount of happiness. So very reverentially he comes to the ashram and he says, Guru, I want you to give me happiness. Maximum happiness de do, as if it's a commodity to be procured. The Guru looked at the chela and said, मैं आपको कल दे दूंगा, पर एक precondition है, कल आप morning आपको गुरु दक्षिणा देना पड़ेगा. तो शिष्य said, what is a guru dakshina? How much do you want? कितना चाहिए आपको? तो the Guru said, कल सुबह अपने shadow को capture करके वो गुरु दक्षिणा के रूप में मुझे देना. You capture your shadow and give it to me. तो चेला ने सोचा, इतना foolish गुरु है, वो diamonds, sapphire, ruby, money, उसको कुछ नहीं चाहिए, उसको shadow ही चाहिए. He looked at the Guru with a little bit of sarcasm and thought, what a foolish and absurd claim. The chela got up in the morning and he starts this whole process of following the shadow. He would get close to the shadow, but then the shadow would outdistance him by a small margin, what we call in English as a whisker. After a few minutes, this man becomes extremely frustrated, irritated, and crestfallen. He comes to the hermitage, the Gurukula, sees the Guru and says, Guru, please ask me whatever you want, I will give you, but not my shadow. Because after so much of labor, I'm not able to capture my shadow. The Guru looked at the chela and said, from morning, you've been following the shadow. I will give you a 1 second prescription that would make the shadow follow you. My dear friends, I want you to imagine this for a second. Here is a man laboring to capture his shadow from morning to afternoon. It becomes a futile exercise, and then the Guru says the shadow that you were chasing in vain for quite some time, the same shadow I will get to follow you, which is quite a tall claim for anyone to make. And the Chela had his own suspicion. The Chela said, Guru, how do you do that? The shadow is so powerful, it's able to overpower me without any effort. The Guru said, you stand here and look at the sun. And when you look at the sun, the shadow falls behind you. The shadow that you were chasing falls behind you. The shadow that you were trying to follow and capture becomes your follower. And the Guru said one monumental statement. Itna bahut important statement tha ki if that one statement we are able to understand, assimilate and internalize, apne life mein qualitative change ho jayega. And the second, I would request my friends to embrace this particular point. The Guru said, the sun that you were looking at is purpose and the shadow is success. So when you look at the sun, which is higher purpose, which is selfless purpose, which is large, broad vision, the shadow has to come behind you. उसका मतलब है अपने जिंदगी में पर्पस है तो सक्सेस पीछे आ जाएगा. सक्सेस के लिए काम करना नहीं पड़ेगा, पर्पस लाइफ में है तो सक्सेस अकम्पनीमेंट होगा. So my dear friends, I would request all the youngsters of India to focus on purpose. And I would request you to take a resolution in life from today that I will work for the society. I will ensure that in the villages of India, I do qualitative work. I will ensure that nature is protected. I will ensure that hygiene and cleanliness is something that is fostered in my state of Gujarat. I will not make this place contaminated. I will also ensure that I bring happiness and joy to countless number of people for whom even that 1 second of happiness is the ultimate luxury. You know, when I'm speaking to you, there is one thing that I'm very conscious of. I've worked with so many youngsters in different parts of India. I want to quote 3 examples from the southern part of India where I'm going to focus on how practically, with tremendous amount of realism, idealism and pragmatism, you can make a perceptible, profound change in your personality. अपने जिंदगी में वो जो practical change लाना है, वही हमारा मकसद है. I will give you one example. In one of the colleges in the southern part of India, I finished my lecture and I was about to walk out of the hall. There was a girl who came and asked a simple question, very informal question. So I went back to the podium and I took that question. Her question was, what is the easiest way to become happy in life? हम सब happiness के search में हैं. आप कनाडा जाइए, आप यूके जाइए, फिजी में, न्यूजीलैंड में, ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, गुजरात में, तमिलनाडु में, आंध्र प्रदेश में, सब जन, everybody is craving for one thing, happiness. So the question that I got from this youngster was, how do you become happy? The easiest and the surest way to become happy in life. तो मेरा आंसर था कि the easiest way to be happy in life is अपने desires को कम करना. Unchecked, unwanted, excessive, extravagant desires, if you're able to reduce and mitigate and lessen, you become happy in life. And the rishis of India, the forefathers of India, have taught us this great lesson. The lesser the number of desires entertained, the higher your quotient of happiness, joy, and fulfillment. So when I said this to this youngster, you typically have people listening to what you say, but then this girl completely changed the landscape of my thought. And I'm quoting this girl to you, to the thousands of youngsters seeing this program as one of the role models of India. This girl quickly took out of her bag some money and gave it to me and said, sir, today evening I was supposed to go with my mother to buy some electronic good. I think it was an iPod if I'm not wrong. And this girl said, after listening to this particular speech or after getting this particular point that unwanted desires bring melancholy and sadness and it is a reason for not being fulfilled, I'm convinced that I don't need an iPod to listen to music. I have other accompaniments. I have other facilities. So she said, I want to contribute this money for a charitable purpose, for a social purpose. And if my memory is right, it was about 3,200 rupees. This girl took and gave it to me and said, sir, please do some seva, some Samaj Seva with this contribution. I immediately picked up the phone and called the General Hospital Cancer Ward, the government hospital cancer ward, where thousands of patients are suffering. I called the doctor and the doctor said, we need two kinds of injections which are urgently needed and poor patients cannot afford it. Gave the list to this girl, and honestly speaking, I still was under the impression, probably the pessimist in me was under the impression that this particular person would quickly take the money back when the excitement of this particular speech comes down. But I was completely humbled by the profundity and depth of this particular experience when, after 9 days, this college student went with her mother, aunt, and a teacher of that particular college to the government hospital cancer ward with a big box full of injections and medicines, gave it to the nurse in the cancer ward, and the nurse very respectfully asked this girl, what is this whole packet? You know, itna bada packet da ki sabka attention usme fall ho gaya. So I said, what is this particular box? And she said, these are injections for the cancer patients that I was able to generate by sacrificing the money that I'd kept for buying an iPod for my comfort. The moment she said this statement, the nurse was looking at her with tremendous amount of astonishment. वो जो English में बोलते हैं ना, dumbfounded, lost for words, totally dumbfounded. And the nurse had tears rolling down her cheeks. And she said one very soft statement that came from the depth of her experience. And she said, how fortunate and blessed your parents are to get a girl like you, to get a child like you. And very early in life, you could realize that अपने जिंदगी से जो सेवा हम करते हैं, that is the only lasting, eternal, enduring investment that we make in life. My dear friends, let us from today take it as a resolution in life. You know, I will not confine myself to just my comfort. I will not be a selfish person. I will not stand in my own way, thereby denying myself this whole passage to the path of excellence. And it's very, very important that we take this particular resolution in life very early, because a whole lifetime beckons us to manifest human excellence. Point number 2, I spoke about the first very important point, the whole aspect of purpose. And purpose के साथ वो purpose के completion के लिए the most important aspect is sacrifice. अपने जिंदगी में sacrifice का quotient बढ़ा दो, happiness अपने आप आ जाएगा. In your family, respect your parents, respect your grandparents. That is a samskar of India. You know, when I'm speaking to you, I'm conscious of the fact that there was one thing that I was very fortunate to do. I was very fortunate to look after my maternal grandmother, 84 years old. She passed away at the age of 84. And I was able to sit with her, look after her, even to clean her urine and motion. And for months together, I would sit next to her, talk to her, console her, apply balm, look after her. And you know what? 3 times before she passed away, she took her hand and kept it on my head and said, all my blessings will come to you. So if I'm speaking 2 words to you today, that comes from that particular experience. That comes because I was of use to my grandmother. So what if she was old? So what if she was frail? So what if she was confined to a bed? It was a great chance that God gave me to serve my grandmother. I'm convinced that one of the aspects of integrated development of personality comes when you become very conscious of your duties to your parents, to your grandparents, and to your teachers, and most importantly, the larger macrocosm of all that, your whole commitment to the samaj, to the society. And the whole web of interrelationships that you nurture and foster and give tremendous amount of focus to, that is going to be the deciding factor of how balanced your personality turns out to be. It is wrong to believe, it is a fallacy of thought in India to believe that your personality comes by wearing the best shirt. Your personality comes by wearing the best watch, by flaunting the most recent or the most sought after mobile phone. Your real personality is what? The way you behave, your whole value system, your whole orientation to culture and heritage, the way you talk, the way you are able to represent goodness, the way you are able to reciprocate goodness, the way you're able to live as a sensitive and sensible human being, understanding the larger aspects of duty consciousness. And I think, my dear friends, it is important that we pay tremendous amount of respect to it. Point number 3 that I want to focus on is this whole aspect of willpower. You know, there are a lot of people who ask this question. How do you change? How do you transform? जिंदगी में बदलाव कैसे लाया जा सकता है? And it's important. बदलाव का practical manifestation is about जो decisions हम लेते हैं लाइफ में, जो critical है, जो important है, जो crucial है, जिसका long term value short term prosperity से भी आगे है, से भी बड़ा है, that is the basis on which your life is going to be built. So my dear friends, I would request you to focus on not your short term prosperity. You look at your long term welfare. And what is long term? Long term is about how well you build your character. I will give you one simple example. You look at one of the great sons of the Gujarat soil, a man who was able to single-handedly unify a country which is as big as a continent. I'm talking about unifying a country with more than 500 rajas at a time when India had just got freedom, was an unthinkable utopian dream for many. There were a lot of skeptics who said it is impossible, ये हो ही नहीं सकता. कैसे 500 राजास को एक यूनिट में, कोहेसिव यूनिट में वेल्ड करके भारत का आइडेंटिटी बनाए, that was said to be next to impossible. But there was one man from this great land of Gujarat who could do it, and that man was Vallabhbhai Jhaveri Bhai Patel, Sardar Patel. I want you to analyze his life history. You should read the life history of Sardar Patel. There is one thing that comes out loud and clear. Sardar Patel was a very simple man, was a very humble man,